Most of us can relate to the character in Ellen Frankel's book, Sid Arthur. After all, who hasn't grabbed a candy bar or a pint of ice cream when you're bored or lonely, or looked at the scale in dismay at your weight? And so today we're here with Ellen talking about kind of a radical point of view that we don't need to diet to lose weight, that there's actually a better and more effective way to participate in healthy eating. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
So this is not a common point of view that you can not diet and still be healthy and lose weight. So what does that mean to you? Why are you against dieting?
Well, if you think about it, 95 to 98% of all dieters will regain the weight back in the long run. So dieting has a failure rate unthinkable in any other area. Could you imagine using a birth control that failed 95 to 98% of the time?
That would be so good. Huh?
Not so good. Could you imagine going to your doctor and having your doctor prescribe an antibiotic for strep throat that he or she told you will work 2 to 5% of the time?
Right.
We wouldn't stand for it. So why do we stand for it in the realm of dieting? And one of the things that's so frustrating is the diet industry takes in $60 billion a year.
Wow.
Selling us the myth that if you just have enough determination and willpower, you'll lose weight. But that's not the case. And what happens for so many people is they lose weight, they gain it back, they blame themselves. But people don't fail diets. Diets fail people. So people need to, there's so much research out there explaining why physiologically and psychologically diets don't work.
Yeah.
And so part of my work, both in the eating disorder field and in writing the character of Sid and Sid Arthur, is to help people understand that there's no shame in the fact that diets don't work, and in fact there's a better way.
So what is that? If you're not going to diet, what would be another way to go about eating more healthily?
Well, one of the things is something called attuned eating or intuitive eating. Now, we are all born knowing how to eat. We watch a baby when we think, oh, they should have more from the bottle or whatever, and they turn their head. They know when they've had enough. Our problem is we've had a culture with so many experts telling us how to eat, when to eat, and each year it's something new.
Different diet.
High fat, low fat, high carb, low cal, whatever it might be. And so what we need to do is to go back to putting that all on pause, not listening to that, and tuning back into our own internal hungers to tell us when we're hungry, what we're hungry for, and when we've had enough, with no judgment, no good food, no bad food.
So it's a much more kind of intuitive, internal, paying attention kind of way to eat.
Exactly.
So when someone comes to you and says, okay, I want to lose weight, what do you recommend for them to start doing? Well,
one of the things I always talk with people about is the idea to remember that this cultural ideal of wanting to be thin is very, very recent. In the 1900s, the cultural ideal was to be fat.
Right.
That was considered
Curvy
wonderful and beautiful.
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe, by today's standards, she was an icon. By today's standards, she'd be considered fat.
Right.
So we have to look at why are we all trying to scramble into this one little place on a bell-shaped curve. The next thing to remember is that people who say they want to lose weight and they want to diet, is that the best way to gain weight is actually to go on a diet to lose weight. Most people find, and if you ask them, they've dieted up to where they are now. They've moved away from their natural weight because you lose 10 pounds, you gain 15 back. You lose 15, you gain 18, and up and up and goes. So one of the best ways to find out what is your natural healthy weight, not necessarily that fits the exact cultural ideal, but where are you at your healthiest, is to, again, tune into that attuned eating or that intuitive eating to guide you in eating when you're hungry, eating what you're hungry for, stopping when you're full, engaging in some kind of activity that's joyful rather than burning up calories, and to let yourself over time see where your body's settled.
Tell me, what's one tip if you want to get started doing attuned eating and you're not used to eating that way? What would be a good way to get started?
Well, one good way is just to really take some time to practice that mindfulness and awareness that we were talking about last week in terms of East and West, and really connecting with what are you hungry for? Do you even know when you're hungry? What does it feel like? What's your experience of hunger? What do you tend to want to eat? Do you have those kinds of foods available for you? Something else that people can look at is my sister Judith Matz and I co-authored a book called The Diet Survivor's Handbook, 60 Lessons in Eating, Acceptance, and Self-Care. It's a very interactive book to help people really connect on that attuned eating process and to really move toward making peace with their food and their bodies, and really practicing how attuned eating leads to attuned living.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me about attuned eating.
Thank you.
And if we've piqued your interest about attuned eating and moving away from dieting, or if you'd like more information on either of Ellen's books, you can go to her website, authorellenfrankel.com.